Welcome to the Interior Design Beat podcast, where you will hear candid commentary on various interior design subjects and topics, including the good, the bad, and the ugly, telling you like it really is. Hello, this is another Interior Design Beat podcast. I am your host, professional interior designer, Stephen C. Adamco, located in Portage/Kalamazoo, Michigan. This podcast is going to be a carryover of the previous one. I talked about the 7 things that you need to know based on an article that was written of a similar title when you hire an interior decorator or interior designer. And so I spoke about the good advice that was contained in the article and the bad advice that was contained in that article. I referred to the fact that in Michigan, we do not have an interior design title act or practice act like other states do. I wish we did because things would be a little more professional. Now, I mentioned before that those who have reached professional status have passed the NCIDQ exam. That stands for the National Council for Interior Design Qualification. It's kind of like the bar exam for interior designers. And there are plenty of people in Michigan, designers, male, female, that have passed the NCIDQ. That does not mean that just because they've passed it, that they are a phenomenal interior designer. Because as you know, there are many people that are licensed in all kinds of professions, from barbers, beauticians, cosmetologists, architects, landscape designers, builders. And then you've got to have a license here in Michigan just to go fishing. So, licensing is important because it's overseen by an organization that, in a sense, verifies, let's just call it, minimum requirements to even get into the field of endeavor. So let's just realize that we have licensed architects, licensed builders, which I am a licensed builder in the state of Michigan. And it's an important situation and an important consideration. Like I said, it doesn't mean everything, but it sets minimum standards, okay, that are important when people are using the services of anybody that is licensed. But in my opinion, that is just the beginning. One has to continually study and hone their skills, talents, and abilities based on, let's say, the inherent gifts that they've received in terms of natural talent. But natural talent always needs to be enriched or developed. Anybody can have talent in music, but they've practiced. They've become adept at all kinds of things, techniques, understanding music, music theory. Now, there's a lot of famous musicians that don't have a classical musical training background, but, they have it. So I'm not saying that raw talent, natural talent, God-given talent doesn't matter, because it does. Because without it, it's a lot harder to progress in any endeavor. And then the other point is that you've got your clients that you have to consider. Are they getting the best of what they really should be receiving? So it's just like doctors, dentists, they all have to be licensed. And then obviously there are good ones and there are really good ones. And then there are excellent ones. So it's kind of like the Sears catalog. You've got the good, the better, and then you've got the best. So I always like to operate in the best. I like to operate in the sphere of excellence. That means I bring a lot to the table. That means I study to show myself approved. Okay? That's a verse right out of the Bible, for that matter. So studying to show yourself approved is a very wise thing to do, as evidenced by the fact that that's a verse right in the Bible, okay, in the New Testament. Because if you don't study or study to show yourself approved, you aren't going to pass many classes or tests in college. If you don't study, who wants somebody working on them like a surgeon who really didn't study, that just kind of got by the skin of their teeth or copying or looking at someone else's notes or answers. You wouldn't want anybody like that getting close to you. But this is what happens in the field of interior design in Michigan because it's so easily infiltrated. So this case study that I'm going to be bringing up or alluding to or using as a superb example of make sure you're getting what you should be getting, or as President Reagan said, trust but verify. All right. So I mentioned that there is this female interior designer somewhere in Michigan that has on their website the written statement. What caught my attention was the statement in print, in writing, as Google's highest rated interior design firm in Michigan. Interesting that Google was not capitalized. So anyway, you kind of want to figure out if that is true. You want to know if that's true. You want to corroborate the facts. And I'm one of those guys that likes to do my due diligence and really check things out to see if that be true, to see if that is true. Okay, so an interesting thing is, if you don't know it, the definition of corroborate means to confirm or give support to a statement, theory, or finding. So similar words or synonyms would be confirm, verify, endorse, ratify, authenticate, validate, certify, support, back up, bear out, bear witness to, and substantiate. Okay, those are a lot of fantastic words. So I did just that and found nothing to substantiate that claim. Nothing other than the fact that if you put that into a Google search bar, it'll come up that so-and-so mentions this in their website. But that's the only place you can find it, on their website. It can be corroborated or substantiated nowhere else. I mean, there is no other place that substantiates that claim. Okay, so let's take it from an attorney point of view. You make a statement, now you got to substantiate that statement. And if you can't substantiate it or back it up or give credence to the fact, then what is it? Not much. Someone's opinion. Now, they might have popped up in something as being, oh my gosh, every time you Google that, they pop up. But where did that individual get that information from? In other words, prove it. You say it, you make a statement of fact, then you better back it up, you better prove it. Nowhere is it backed up, proved, or referenced to any other rating system or rated anywhere. I mean, I went and Googled Google's highest rated interior design firms in Michigan, and nothing came up other than just, overall, top 10 best, but nothing that says specifically, this is Google's highest rated interior design firm in Michigan. All right. I did the same thing for the United States. Who are Google's highest rated interior design firms in the United States? Again, I got a list like from, Interior Design Magazine of the largest interior design / architectural firms. And I mean, they're huge, okay, that do huge things. That's the only thing I found is that rating where they're doing millions and millions worth of dollars worth with thousands and thousands of employees. So again, anybody can say they're an interior designer. Anybody can say this or that, but where's the proof? Like so much of what we see today is everybody using the term award-winning interior designer. But hardly ever have I seen where anybody said, what award was it that they won? It just award-winning. Okay, award-winning. And again, if you can't back it up, it's fluff. It's nothing. So you can't put your trust in something that can't be backed up or substantiated. So you can't put your trust in a person that does that too, because to me, that sounds like it lacks integrity. That sounds like you're trying to bolster yourself in ways that can't be proven. Does that sound right? No, that doesn't sound right at all. Would you like your doctor, dentist, attorney, builder to say something like that? And then, like, where did they pull that up from? And trust me, there's smart people will do their due diligence to check that out. Is it true? And can the individual prove it? Okay. So the reason for me sharing this information is so that when you're out there looking for the best interior decorator or interior designer for you, do your own due diligence, as I said in the prior podcast, and make sure you're getting the right one. Don't rely on other people's opinions who think they know something, but really don't. There's a lot of people can say, oh, that carpentry work was excellent, but ask a real carpenter if it was excellent. Okay. People that really know what they're talking about. When you go into court or in a courtroom, they bring in expert witnesses, not just somebody off the street, not your neighbor, unless he or she is an expert witness. All right. So I'm saying this so that you will be on your guard against people who can't really deliver and who build themselves up in such a way that it's really a house of cards. Beware. There's an old saying, let the buyer beware. Okay. Very important, because interior design is not a place where you want to screw around with that and say, oh my gosh, I got this, and then I got the wrong person. Trust me, I was on a job that was like that, where they hired a builder and they did a lot of things wrong. Put in the headers too low, cut off 6-panel doors that I ordered too short that it voided the warranty of the 6-panel doors. And we're talking about thousands of dollars here. Now, when the headers for the openings are put in too low, then they all have to be cut out and raised. Now, you don't do that after the house is built. You want to build it right once the first time. Just like everything that I do, we do it right once the first time, period. Okay? My gosh, who wants all that? And it was a mess. It was a royal mess, pain in the butt. And talk about expense, unnecessary expense upon expense and time lost. Oh my gosh, nobody wants to go through that ever. Okay, so this is an expensive situation. Anything that has to do with your house, your architecture, your home, your interior design, it's all related like a hand in a glove. Do not mess things up. Do not hire people who aren't appropriate. In other words, Red Adair was a famous firefighter in terms of putting out oil fires and oil rigs. Matter of fact, John Wayne did a movie about him, and it's called Hellfighters. And the real person, his name was Red Adair. And he said, this is quote, which is wonderful. Red Adair's quote, what he said is absolutely kick butt. If you think hiring a professional is expensive, wait until you hire an amateur. And I'm telling you, we got a lot of amateurs in the interior design field. So anyway, I'm going to now get into the story and the background so you can see what I mean when I bring this up. And why do I bring this up? Because it's really, really important. I see it as a danger point. I see it, and the reason I'm doing it is to protect people. Even if they don't hire me, I don't want them to go through something like that. I've seen enough of that, and it's terrible. Oh my gosh, you don't ever want to step into that pit. So I came across, by doing some searching, I came across a podcast that this person was on explaining how they got into this business. And as I listened to it, I said to myself, oh my God, no way would I hire her. Okay, might have a little smidgen of natural talent, but based on the things coming out of her own mouth on the podcast, I said, oh no. Even if you don't have a lot of money, you better value the money that you have. even if you do have a lot of money, you better be smart enough not to hire anybody that's kind of like this or related to this situation. Hire a true professional. Or like I said, I'm not giving this person's name other than the fact that I'm identifying them as a female. Why? Because in the old days, there used to be more men in the interior design and architectural field than women. Now, in the interior design field, we have a proliferation of women and women that just say, oh, I got a flair for this. And my neighbor said I'm wonderful. And so I guess I'm wonderful. I'm going to open up a design firm and work for everybody and work for all these people. And a lot of times these people are well-connected. You know, their husband's a doctor, an attorney, a businessman, a multimillionaire. And so they think just because of that, they can be this. And they select things a lot of times based on their own likings, you know, like their quote unquote style. I like this, and therefore everybody I work with gets something similar to what I like. They're not professional enough to put themselves in the place of a client and do it with the expertise that a real expert would employ. And, you know, like I say, anybody can get into interior design in the state of Michigan without any real credentials. And we have tons of women that get involved on the false assumption that just because they're women, they know how to do this. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of them that are totally clueless. And when you look at their work, it is crap. Just like that wealthy corporate attorney that I stopped to see, and he requested me to come in and take a look at the job that a female designer, decorator, I don't know what she called herself, that worked on his house that was referred to by his builder. And the builder said that she was wonderful and marvelous and fantastic and, you know, all that in a bag of chips. But he confided in me, and I'll never forget it to this day. This happened like 25, 30 years ago, maybe more. He said, and his house was in a gated community. So it was a very expensive home. And he was a very successful corporate attorney, which I kind of wondered why he didn't say like, hey, I'm not going to accept this. You know, but things were overscaled. Some things were designed to go here. They couldn't fit there, didn't fit there, had to go over here. Other things were like too tight because the furniture was too large or scaled for the space that was going in. And he said to me, well, Steve, the builder told me she was wonderful and fantastic and awesome and great to work with. But he said, he didn't tell me that her work sucked. So the reason I started researching this whole thing was when I came across it and it said Google's top rated interior designer in the state of Michigan. I thought, that's interesting. How did that happen? Or what made that happen? Or was there some special something, skill set or whatever that made that happen? So I thought, wow, that's very curious. Let me check this out. That's what got me started on the discovery journey, as it were. Kind of like an archaeological quest to dig out, what is this? What's this about? Now, one thing I'll add is that I'm really good at research and discovery, kind of like Sherlock Holmes. Seriously. And I do the same kind of discovery work when I do my interior design for clients. So I'm like an archaeologist and Sherlock Holmes rolled together. And that's what makes the work that I do for my interior design clients so unique and personal. I bring out stuff that they don't even know is there to help their interior design become magical. So everything I do is not just a look. It's a look with ambiance or ambience, whichever way you prefer. So going on with my research and discovery, I noticed that this individual was on a podcast. And in the podcast description, it says that this person, their firm, is, quote, Google's highest rated interior design firm in Michigan. And again, I said, okay, how did that happen? How did they become Google's highest rated interior design firm in Michigan when I know darn well their work is average, and yet they say they work with high-end clients? Well, there's a lot of people that don't know what high-end really is. they think it's high end. Or a lot of people say amazing interior design when they don't even know what amazing is. None of them approach anywhere near a tenth of what you might see in Architectural Digest. That kind of design aspect. Now, I said before in another place that my work has been included in Baker Furniture catalog, the Macmillan Collection. And Macmillan is the longest standing interior design firm in America. So they mentioned that this person is a rock star. They learned the business from the ground up, from blogs and podcasts and personal experience. It's not what I would call exquisite training. Anyway, they started out in the category of music. I'm a musician also. That's one reason why I can make things sound and look and feel orchestrated, just like music. But anyway, this person, I mean, I know what top designers are. I've met and talked to the very best interior designers in the world that you see on Architectural Digest, personally. That was one of my favorite magazines way back when. And it was discovering what is it about these interiors that have this magic. And it's a lot of orchestrated layering and textural orchestration and real handle on form, shape, proportion, color, texture. Most people don't have a real good feeling about form, shape, and proportion. They haven't studied the orders of architecture. They haven't studied the Greeks and the Romans. So they really don't have a feel for it. And you can tell right away. So again, I look for excellence. I'm about excellence. I'm all about excellence. And I can tell when somebody's got it or they don't. And this person doesn't have it. They are average, maybe even mediocre. Okay. So anyway, the description says she has high-end clients across Michigan, speaks at events, learned the trade from the ground up by reading blogs and listening to podcasts. Would you like anybody that's, like a lawyer, dentist, doctor, to learn by reading blogs and listening to podcasts? I mean, that can be very good for learning things. But man, I'll tell you what, that does not sound like you really are learned and educated. People of quality and some brains look for more substance than just that. And like I say, it just threw me. I mean, I was just almost, once I saw the work and saw and heard how she got into it and everything, I was appalled at the statement that she is Google's highest rated interior design firm. I mean, she's a firm of one. I'm a firm of one. But there's light years of difference between both of us, light years in quality of work and depth of work by far. So anyway, her firm is Google's highest rated interior design firm in Michigan. I looked at that and said, there is no way. No way. That is impossible. So where they got that, how they figured that out, how they thought that might be it, I don't know. Because I researched it and there was no substantiation or mention of it anywhere other than on her own website. Okay? So there's nothing anywhere else. What can you say? That is the credential for being the most elitist design firm in Michigan? I think not. I guess that's one of the reasons why I call this podcast Liars, Fakers, and Salt and Pepper Shakers. Okay? This is kind of that BS that I don't like because it doesn't have integrity. This person goes to church, was in music, used to help lead worship and whatnot. But I don't like it when people kind of put on airs, so to speak. It's kind of like the Bible talks about that you shouldn't take the place of honor lest someone of a higher rank be invited that comes later or was invited from the beginning, and you think that you should take the seat of honor. And then when the person who is much higher ranked than you comes, then you have to proceed to a lower place shamefacedly. So you have to go down and take the lower seat or the much lower seat in shame. Okay? you got to watch out that you just don't present yourself as the top enchilada when you're not. All right. My goodness. Have some integrity. Well, obviously, there isn't. And I don't know, maybe some people are just deceived and thinking that they're all that in a bag of chips when they're not. I don't like that. If I can see, if somebody says they are, and I can see that they are, and they can prove that they are, and it's obvious that they are, then okay, you can accept that. But not in this case, not in this case whatsoever. So this person had a music degree, was, I think, a worship leader in church. So they started to get into the creative business world and got their first client, their first interior design client from church. Then got some speaking engagements because a church member owned a company that put on shows. So she asked to be a speaker there. So again, there's no real background in design other than wanting to be in design and be a designer. There's lots of people who want to be designers. But there's no way she could pass the NCIDQ exam. No way. That is why this field is so sometimes not genuine, because so many people can get into it and it's such a low barrier to entry that your chihuahua could jump over it. Okay, anybody can get into this. Anybody can buy a camera and say, I'm a photographer. There's a lot more to it than that. I've worked with master level professional photographers, and there is a big difference. Let me tell you, anybody that's really professional, there's a huge difference, much more than meets the eye. I mean, it's depth. Okay, so it's like the iceberg or icebergs. You see just a small portion of the top, but everything is below the surface. That's what it is with a real professional. And most people just have this visual outside veneer, but really not the substance. And then another thing she did was invite different interior designers out to lunch in order to pick their brains. I don't know if she let them know what she was up to or not, but it's just like trying to pick up a smattering of different things and then calling yourself an expert, because it looks like she's trying to call herself a real expert, especially when you say that you're Google's top-rated interior design firm in Michigan. So that's why I'm kind of blowing the whistle on that, because that's obviously not true. And I can tell just by looking at her work that there's no way she's even comes close to a lot of the other women in Michigan who are way better than her. I know that they're better than her. I'm a lot better than her by miles in huge degrees. And I can back up everything I do, not only in the portfolio, in the drawings, in the lighting design, in the plans, and specifications, and reflected ceiling plans, my custom furniture designs. I'm in the elite realm. She's not. And so it just aggravates me when you see that, because you see people that are being kind of pompous out there trying to strut their stuff when they don't have anything to back it up. It's like, I guess, kind of like the emperor with no clothes. So anyway, it was jobs garnered through church because they took a new members class and told something about themselves, like, I'm an interior designer. So they took a new members class, and then they could write a blurb about themselves in church. And then you can, I guess they wrote down, or she wrote down, I'm an interior designer. So when people say that, oh, you're an interior designer, so must be people think they can just automatically think, oh, they must be wonderful. They must be great. They must be whatever, just because they say they are. See, that's what I don't like. And when it's obvious that you don't have it, it's like saying you are a gold medalist and, nobody would even believe that you're a gold medalist. It just seems not genuine to me. And I just never like to see that stuff out in the public sphere and propagated out there. Well, it's almost like propaganda, quite frankly. And then people think that because they anoint themselves queen, that they are. It's like, no, you're not. I mean, like I said, she couldn't even pass the bar exam. Like I said, she could not pass the bar exam. There's no way that exam is intense. And it's timed also. So that's also another thing. You got to know your stuff and you got to be able to do it quickly. She would not be able to pass it. So anyway, I just wanted to make mention of that buyer beware. Watch out who you're talking to. And just because they say they are, a lot of people just exaggerate, I think, when they shouldn't. Just watch out there. Don't hire the wrong person and then find out later from somebody else that you could have had a much better job. It's kind of like the old commercial where it says, I could have had a VA. Yes, you could have, because I've gone into many of these homes where somebody of amateurish, average, mediocre ability has done the work. And then, the money's spent. And then a guy like me comes in and says, well, that wasn't done right. That wasn't done right. You didn't have a right foundation for that. You did it up to this point, but now you can't go any further because you've already committed to this direction without leaving yourself an opening for further expansion or elaboration. There's a lot to this business. And most people have no idea. Maybe I'll have to go into it sometime where I tell you exactly what this business entails. Because most people have no clue nor appreciation for all that it takes to operate at a very high level. Okay. Well, I think that's enough on this topic and subject. And I may come up with another podcast where I tell you exactly the things you should look for if you're a person who is in the market for top quality interior design that is integrated holistically from an architectural and an interior design point of view. And the other reason that I bring this up is that I am an educator. Not only can I do it, I can teach it. Because there's a lot of people who teach it but can't do it. There's a lot of people who can do it but aren't good teachers. And it's the rare individual who can not only do it, but teach it and can back everything up and substantiate everything. That is operating at a very high level. All right. Well, anyway, there you have it. Some insight and revelation. Again, let the buyer beware. Do your own due diligence. Ask the right questions to get the right answers so that you can get the right results. But again, the first part of it is you've got to know the right questions to ask. So if I'm dealing with a client, they're asking some right questions, but not all the right questions, then I will bring up the right questions so that they are fully informed so they can make a quality decision. Because interior design is expensive. And most people cannot afford to do it all over again if it's not done right once the first time in a very comprehensive, personal, tailored, custom way. Okay? That's the only way interior design should be done. So anyway, that's a good comment, phraseology to end this podcast on. So hope you all have a fantastic day today and make the most of it. And we will talk to you on the next podcast. Have a great day, everyone.